Welcome, one and all, to the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. Do you have a water leak and can't find where it's coming from? Then call Water Cleanup of Florida at 954-579-0356 for immediate assistance. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, and George, and their entire team is prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. After the leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida will then clean, dry, and fully restore the damaged areas. Water Cleanup of Florida is fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide the one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. There is no need to bring in other contractors. They'll handle the entire project from start to finish. I'm telling you, my wife and I worked with Water Cleanup of Florida. This is something that saved us so much hassle. We both were very busy between work and our lives. And I don't like living on Google looking for multiple companies. I want one place to get the job done. It's rare, hard to find, but you will find it and have it with Water Cleanup of Florida. They did an amazing job for us, and they'll do the same great job for you. The service area includes Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, which is pretty cool. All of South Florida, pretty much. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone at 954-579-0356. Again, 954-579-0356. Or visit the website at wcufl.com. You can follow on Facebook and Instagram at Water Cleanup FL. And with over 80 5-star reviews on Google, it is more than my word you'll be following. You'll follow many, many other people out there that are truly satisfied with all Water Cleanup of Florida can do for you. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. A man that has dealt with schmutz and lots of guts with the Miami Heat, as he's been a broadcaster with the organization since their inception. Now his 35th year calling or involved with Miami Heat broadcast. One and only Eric Reid joined us today, and he still, as a guy who's positive, and look, he's not wrong that he got a big win Monday night against the Sixers. He feels that he can still right the ship and get out of the play-in and possibly get to that 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. We talked with Mr. Valley Sports Florida, Mr. Miami Heat, Eric Reid, today on the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Rare that anyone achieves legendary status within their own lifetime, but this gentleman certainly would qualify for that distinction. And gentleman also is a very appropriate description to attach to this man. One of the greats, and been there since the very beginning with the Miami Heat as part of their broadcast team, and now is the man most closely identified with the Miami Heat, other than Pat Riley, I believe, and that would be their outstanding play-by-play man. The great Eric Reid joins us here on the show. Eric, how are you, my friend? How you doing?
You're hired. I never had a PR guy. If I did, you'd be the guy. You're testing the limits of my humility, Defo.
Well, having been a Jets fan your entire life, I understand, because I was there with you for a long period of time, and it's always particularly painful.
There. But the best story I have about being called a legend, last few years Heat fans have bestowed that to me in person from time to time.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I came home from a game and told my wife, "Hey, so guess what? They were calling me a legend at work tonight." She goes, "Okay, legend, take the stuff out of the dryer for me."
That's great.
Yeah, the dog pooped.
Because what I've learned is legends can help. You understand? And clearly more important to be a legend at home than at work. But not striving for both.
All right, there since the beginning, so you would have great insight into this. I don't know if you can let this information go to the public, but is there an actual vaccine? I'm watching a game last night. I guess it was 2 nights ago. Yeah. And Cody Zeller, who hadn't played, he should have been in the same kind of shape as like Butterbean Esch running up and down the court. And he makes a play on the offensive end and then flies down and blocks Embiid's layup on the other end, a key point in the ball game. And I'm thinking this guy had to be injected with Heat culture when he got his uniform issued. Is there a serum? Maybe a little UD blood. Is there one that's out there that they inject people with when they come to the organization?
Not that I know of. Not that I
know
of.
Okay.
This is a guy.
You've never seen it. Never heard anything about it.
Defo, this is a guy that's played that way his whole career, and that's what made him attractive to Miami. And
all right.
He's an athletic, big guy that can run, defend, rebound. He's an excellent screen setter. It's funny to hear both Eric Spoelstra and Steve Clifford, who coached him at Charlotte, say the same exact thing about him. And it was guards and teammates love playing with Cody Zeller on the floor because he's so unselfish. He gets guys open. He does all the little things. So he's, and here's what he did. Somehow he stayed in great shape. I guess he was working out at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. I think he's even a little bit surprised, by the way, how well it has transitioned for him. But he's really helped. Him and Kevin Love, I mean, one guy hadn't played since last year. The other guy hadn't played in a month. And in 3 games, they have integrated themselves really seamlessly and well, and they're already helping this Heat team.
All right, and that was interesting, too, because, the Heat had lost 4 in a row. Jimmy Butler had said he was sick and tired of losing. Just came right out and said that after a woeful, Lubie was appalled by the performance against the Charlotte Hornets, who, haven't been a great team this year. But nonetheless, they go against the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that was still in the mix there, a few games behind the elite. Bucks streaking with 15 in a row. And, of course, the Celtics have been hot since the beginning of the season and on a blistering pace all year long. And I wouldn't have given 2 cents for the Heat's chances, but this is the NBA, Eric Reid.
Yes.
And sure enough, all of a sudden, the threes that have been bricks all year are draining with regularity from a variety of sources. And they go out and they make a bunch of key defensive stops at the end of the game, including Adebayo's block on Embiid's short jumper from the baseline. And they pull it out of the fire and snap the 4-game losing streak. It's been a little Jekyll and Hyde-like, though, for this team. How would you characterize the season, Eric? What are you seeing?
Up and down. First of all, the only thing that was missing was the tent to make that, a flat-out revival meeting for Miami. It was a really important game. It felt like a playoff game.
Yeah.
And, a couple of things happened in that game that haven't happened in one in a long while, one in a little while. The biggest mystery of the season has been the fall off in 3-point shooting. From first in the league in percentage a year ago to 28th this year.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation that I've heard yet that really explains why. But they made 15 threes in that game for the first time since December 20th. It was only the 8th time this season they shot 40% or better from 3.
Wow.
Before they did that 31 times last year.
Yeah.
They've been under 30% 18 times. When you don't make threes in the NBA, you got a big-time chance of losing. The mathematical difference from a team making threes to missing is often too much to overcome. We did a little research with the help of one of our ace stat guys. Teams that shoot 40% or better from 3 in games this year are winning close to 70% of those games. So they were able to do that. The second thing is, what's made Miami a good team when they have been good is a disruptive defense that A, forces turnovers, and B, generates points off of those turnovers. The Heat offense has struggled all year without it. We're better when we're scoring off defense and getting into transition. So in the game the other night against Philly, forced 20 turnovers. That's the most in the last 35 games for the Sixers. Scored 22 points off those turnovers. So if Miami can find a way to make threes and force turnovers, they can close out well. There's 20 games left, 15 in March. You're meeting a lot of these teams that are ahead of you. The second game in a row with Philly, the Knicks coming in Friday, 2 in a row with Atlanta, 2 in a row with Cleveland. That's on the immediate horizon. So there's still time to right this season, to earn a top 6 seed, which you need to, guarantee yourself a spot in the playoffs. 7 through 10, you got to go to the play-in round and win your way into the postseason. You're hoping to avoid that, but we'll see. I think the real personality of this season is still to be determined. So while there's time left, in a game like the Philadelphia game the other night, still gives you hope. Now, Miami right now is a game and a half behind Brooklyn. They're 2.5 behind New York. The Knicks are streaking. They've won 6 in a row. The Nets, they're starting to struggle. Those 2 teams play each other tonight. Then the Knicks come here on Friday night. So the plot is thick, and I think it's going to be very dramatic and hopefully enjoyable to watch as this season winds up.
You had a chance, and maybe you can help us out to settle a little debate Lubie and I have. I'm not sure where this stands, but you just saw this guy close up the other night. I watched the game on TV. We know that James Harden is not quite the player that he was. He doesn't seem to be as explosive, maybe not as consistent. I don't know what his shooting percentage is on threes, but it seems like every time I see him, he's launching a brick. And he did miss that one at the end of the game, with a fairly open shot that he took at the buzzer there that could have won the ball game for Philadelphia last night. Lubie thinks he's a completely shot fighter, a waste of time. I would think he's been, somewhat of a meaningful catalyst for the Philadelphia 76ers and can really help them. What did you see in James Harden the other night and in general this season?
First of all, I think Lubie better keep his day job. Okay?
This is his day job.
That's the problem. This is my day job.
That's what I'm saying. Keep that and stay away from personnel evaluation. No,
okay. Harden's not a shot fighter.
Listen, he's not at the peak of his game. He went 6 straight years with the Rockets with over 200 threes. He had one year, I think he had 368. People forget he's 3rd all time in threes made. He is just to refresh your memory. He's averaging almost 22 points a game. He's got over 120 threes. He's shooting 39% from out there, which would lead the Heat, by the way. Nobody on the Miami Heat is shooting 39% from 3 this year. So I hope that lends a little perspective. Is he the great premier guard that he was for a number of years? No, but he's still a useful player. The synergy, as Doc Rivers explained it to us before the game a couple of nights ago, the synergy between him and Embiid is a lot better. Remember, he joined Philly from the Brooklyn Nets in the middle of last year. So he's had the whole season. He's better than was last year, and I think still good enough to get Philadelphia into the playoffs. But here's the problem with the Sixers, and it's not just Harden related. They're a good team to very good. I mean, they got the 4th best record in the league. But their whole season is going to come down to, are they good enough to beat Milwaukee or Boston? Yeah. They've been knocked out of the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years in the second round. Yep. If that happens again this year, that would be, I think, constituted as a failed season for them. And that's likely what will happen to them. I don't think they're good enough to beat Milwaukee and Boston in a series, but time will tell.
Dr. Rivers will be coaching in Istanbul if they get knocked out in the second round this year. I want to bring on a special guest. He's always with us at this time, and we're so happy that we can share a little bit of time with you, Eric Reid, because this guy also easily identifiable by his voice and certainly has had as distinctive a broadcasting career in South Florida as anybody. So we'll go ahead and welcome in our special guest here with Eric Reid, play-by-play voice of the Miami Heat.
Eric Reid, Tony Segreto here, my friend. You are a legend. So Eric, I got
not even in my own mind. You know what I am? I am so incredibly fortunate to have understood that this was my way to stay connected to the game I love, and to it was my 46th year in a row doing basketball for somebody. I started doing Cornell basketball my junior year at Ithaca College, and I've been so blessed. I have not missed a basketball season since then. Enjoying my 35th year with the Heat as much, if not more than ever. We appreciate it. We're grateful for the opportunity and the longevity we've enjoyed. And Tony, it takes one to know one. You, I would say, are a South Florida legend.
Well, thank you, Eric. You know, it's funny. You said 35 years and 46 years since being in college, and I heard somebody say recently I had gotten some recognition, and they stood up. They were in the business, and they said, we all sort of say, are we in Segreto's years yet? You know, because I did 40. But
wow.
But you know, Eric, and I think you'll agree with me. And then when I talk to you about the Heat a little bit, I think you'll agree with me that those 35 years with the Heat, and my 40 years with NBC, don't seem that they didn't seem it at the time. Do they? I mean, you love what you do. You don't go to work ever. You are part of pop culture. You're part of staying current. And I think that keeps us young, that keeps us motivated, that keeps us moving, even though, Eric, you'll have to agree with me that every year, no matter whether it's basketball, football, baseball, whatever you do, you're actually reading the same book. Every once in a while, there may be a different chapter, the chapter this year may be the lack of the unexplained lack of being able to score 3 points. Yeah. But basically, it's the same book. We have the ups and downs. We have the yings and yangs. We go on the 5, 6, 7 game winning streaks, and everybody's excited. And then all of a sudden, there's a lid on the basket, and no one can score. Yeah. So I would guess that this has become good old school for you and good patience, and teaches you to become a better play-by-play guy, and you give a perspective that few play-by-play and color analysts can give.
Thank you, Tony. First of all, you just go one game at a time and try not to rush to judgment, and especially when seasons are not going as well, as others. You wipe the slate clean every single night, both internally and externally, and you come in fresh and ready to do the next game. And even though I have been doing the same thing for 46 years in a row, what keeps me fresh is, number one, I love the sport and the game, and have such deep respect for the people that play and coach and officiate and manage our sport. Every game is different. And as much as I prepare for each game, it's so secondary to doing the live event and explaining and enjoying it as you go. So I'm very simplistic on how I approach my craft, Tony and Lubie and Defo. I've done the same thing for 35 years with the Heat. I prepare hard and I'm ready for every single game. And then I make sure to enjoy each one of them with the great fans that enjoy the games on television, or whether they're streaming it on the Valley Sports app. And that's how 35 years have just zoomed past. Just keep getting ready for the next game and enjoy each one as they come.
That's the only way you do.
I was going to say, it seemed like yesterday, Tony, that he was calling Sylvester Gray bricks.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out different ways to describe a ball that bounces off the front rim. Yeah.
You talk about seems like yesterday. I remember the day, and I want to bring up names that some of you may go, oh, no, not now. I remember the day that Billy Cunningham and Lou Chaffel came into my office at NBC, closed the door, and said, listen, you got to help us get a franchise down here. And I remember promoting tickets, going to Arizona when the owners were voting on getting a team here, finding, our new owner and what it would take, and playing those first games at the Miami Arena, and, bringing in Pat Riley, all of those days, the announcement of the franchise. It seems like yesterday. I still think of the Heat as a young puppy, when in fact it's becoming an old dog. And I agree with you. Doing the games like I did, it is. You prepare hard. You prepare for the unexpected. But again, it's the same book, and you just like to keep reading it and hoping that the end is a little different, and we'll see.
It's a long book. I got to go, but I wanted to share one story. You mentioned Sylvester Gray, Defo. It was about 6 years ago. Tony Fiorentino and I were doing the games together back then, and we're courtside at the arena. And Tony and I look behind us, and about 10 feet away, there's a guy standing about 6'5", shaved head. I don't recognize him, but he looked familiar. And about 2-3 minutes go by, and I turn around, and now Tony's standing next to the guy, the guy looked over at me. He goes, "Eric, do you remember me?" I looked at him. I go, "Still?" It was Sylvester Gray.
Great.
It was the first time.
What are the odds we would pull that name out of there?
Here, in so many, he was 50 years old. He'd been playing in Italy until he was 50.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing a documentary on his life. He came back to Miami, and the end of my little story is, I don't know who was happier that I remembered his name, him or me. But
he's the Satchel Paige of basketball, for sure.
Listen,
hey, Eric, always a pleasure. I know you got to run. Thanks so much. Appreciate you taking the time being with us here on the show. It's always a pleasure, my friend, and we'll talk to you again soon, we hope.
Hey, Eric, listen, you tell Tony, as he knows, that you talk to me.
Defo,
that
you are a radio legend. We love you. Take care and be well.
All right, Eric.
There you go.
It. Yes, obviously, Eric Reid's a tad bit biased, working with the Miami Heat for years and years and years. But he knows his basketball. He knows the organization. He's been very honest, and he's always honest with us. The three ball hasn't been falling. It fell Monday. It's there. We saw this pretty much this entire exact group lead the NBA in three-point shooting last year. They've fallen off a cliff this year. But finally, for the first time since like December 20th, you saw them shoot it really, really, really well, extremely well versus Sixers. Hopefully that's something that continues for the Miami Heat. They are not out of it. Just a game and a half behind the Nets for the 6th seed to be fully out of the play-in spectacle, and 2.5 behind the Knicks. And they do face the Knicks coming up. They face the Hawks. All these teams that are right around where they are, they face. Yeah, it's not an easy schedule, but it's a kind of schedule where they will control their own destiny, pretty much in a sense. So again, Defo and I've talked about this a lot. I don't see them as a championship contender this year. If they were able to make those moves they were trying to, yes, they would have been. They couldn't. But will they be totally disaster? I don't see that either. Look, the way Jimmy Butler can carry a team, the way Bam has grown, and they have guys that are good on this roster. They've just been inconsistent. They can put it together and make an interesting run. I agree with Eric Reid that I think they can get out of the first round, and then you never know. So we shall see what the rest of the season is. Check out our other segment. We're doing more here on 5 Reasons. Defo on 5, where we talk Heat, but we talk other things. We jump outside or inside the world of sports. We talk about it all. A lot of different things on Defo on 5 right here on 5 Reasons. Check us out in the mornings. We do our show, an extended program of the Defo Show with Lubie on South Florida Live. And check out our national podcast, the After Hours with Defo and Lubie on the Believe Network, where we talk more national things. And it's not just sports talk, with a lot of big-time people in the entertainment and musical world, also sports. The Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And here, our South Florida sports content, the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.